Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and guys and gals. Here we are back again talking about my collection. I said I would go through this for Monty mainly, but there's a few other people that have asked, and there's a couple guys in particular that like to watch me, and one guy in particular said, you know, he's also sort of recuperating. He's sort of got sounds like he's got kind of more of a chronic condition. I don't know that he gets better, but he has trouble breathing sometimes, and he's I get the feeling he's sort of bedridden from time to time, or at least housebound, perhaps. And he likes to watch my videos. You know, go figure. Says my voice is soothing. I'm happy for that, and happy that that I can share these videos and share some of my collections. So sort of like what Roger, Channel Downstar, did when he defended his collection. Not so much defending it as I am maybe just explaining why it's important to me. Maybe that's what Roger did too. I don't know if it was so much of a defense as an explanation as to why he had the movies he had, and I'm going to explain that as well as I can. It might be tough when I come to Salo here, but I'll do my best to explain why I own that and why I think it's worth owning, and why I think a cinephile should probably own it. So let me move on here to this shelf up here. I already did the one above it. This will be the Blu-rays in standard Amaray type cases, the clear cases for the most part. And I'll go through each one of those and say a few words about some of them, and others I will say very little about probably, but that's all right. That's how we go through things. So just give me a minute to grab the first one of these sections, one of these type sections, about 20 movies, and then I will be right back. Okay, the first third of the shelf. Looks like about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, about 25 movies, I guess. About 75 movies across that, I suppose. First one up, fittingly, I suppose, is Federico Fellini's 8½, starring Marcello Mastroianni there, the front cover. This is sort of a biographical piece about a director whose project is collapsing around him along with his own life. One of the greatest films about film ever made. This is Federico Fellini's take on movie making and the directorial process. A ton of special features on this one. I'm not going to read all of them, but I will tell you that the movie was made in 1963. It's 138 minutes long, so divide that by 60, and you'll see that the movie is over 2 hours long, 2 hours and 20 minutes long. Black and white. It's in Italian, of course. It's 1.85 to 1 aspect ratio, so it's going to look, it's going to be very good on a widescreen television. Not as good as a 2.35 to 1 ratio, but still not too bad. The further you get away from a 1 to 1, the more rectangular it becomes and less square. 1 to 1 would be perfectly square. Okay, tons of extras, audio commentary from a film critic and a Fellini friend, introduction by a filmmaker, Terry Gilliam, of Monty Python fame. It's a great movie, and I think Marcello Mastroianni does a great job as acting in this one. I really enjoy that film. The next one I haven't seen. I just recently got it from Roger, Channel Downstar, and I haven't had a chance to watch it. I watched it years ago, but I'm not going to count that. And I watched it in pieces. I don't think I've ever sat down and watched it from start to finish. From 1979, it's Bob Fosse's All That Jazz, starring Roy Scheider, and probably a career-defining role for him. 123 minutes. It's another movie over 2 hours long. 3.0 surround sound, and again, the 1.85 to 1 aspect ratio. This movie focuses in on putting on a show, and it deals with choreography and a director's breakdown, middle-age crisis, whatever you want to call it, all that jazz. Pretty good for not having seen it in years. This one I watched not all that long ago. It's a classic by director Sidney Lumet, starring Henry Fonda, but the whole cast is brilliant. I'm talking about 12 Angry Men. Boy, if you've never seen 12 Angry Men, this is a great disc to have. something's out of order on this. I can't remember what it was. Something that's out of order. I don't remember. Obviously, there's Henry Fonda there in the middle, in the yellow. But there's something that's wrong on the front cover. I don't remember what it is. Anyway, there's a boy on trial for murder, and in fact, he's charged with murdering his own father. And these 12 men are trying to decide his fate. They go into the jury room, all but one thinking he's guilty, wanting to get home, wanting to put it behind them. And one man, Henry Fonda, who's skeptical, who asks more questions, who wants to see the evidence again, and eventually they will all come to some realizations. 1957, 96 minutes in black and white. It's 1.66 to 1 aspect ratio. Great movie, and you see there's a lot of special effects on there, everything from about the middle of the page, about a third of the page there. Commentaries, and also has the television version, as well as the classic version here. The television version was good too. Anyway, both in black and white. 12 Angry Men, great movie. Highly recommend that one. The next one's really interesting too. If you like courtroom drama, this one I thought was really interesting. Anatomy of a Murder, 1959, 161 minutes. 161 minutes. That's a long movie. You figure 180 minutes would be 3 hours, so it's between 2 and 3 hours, approaching 3. 1.85 to 1 aspect ratio. This was a story about a man, Ben Gazzara, who's a lieutenant, accused of murdering a local tavern owner who he believed raped his wife, Lee Remick. So, yeah, it's an interesting movie. Otto Preminger is in this, directed this movie. I'm sorry, directed this movie, yeah. Let's say, stars in the film. He directed it. I like the iconic, whatever we're going to call it, kind of cover here, just plain and striking. Again, a lot of extra features. That's not unusual on a Criterion Collection release. In fact, it's the norm. A lot of these look like they're still in shrink wrap. They're not. They're actually in this plastic that I got. This actually peels up here in the back. I've watched this movie, and then I put it back in these cases so that it fits fairly tight, depending on how you cut the top. It almost looks like it's still shrink wrap, but it's not. And I don't do that for all of them. There's one that's not done. Here's Badlands. Great Terrence Malick movie, starring Martin Sheen in his younger days and Sissy Spacek. They are brilliant in this as Charles Starkweather going on a cross-country killing spree with his girl. Yeah, good stuff, being chased by the cops. Strange movie, but a compelling movie. 94 minutes, 1973. It's in color. 1.85 again to 1 aspect ratio. I like Badlands a lot. Next is Jean Cocteau's Beauty and the Beast. It's a beautiful telling of the tale. This is not your cartoon version. What it says on the back is Jean Cocteau's sublime adaptation of Madame Le Prince de Beaumont's fairy tale masterpiece, which the pure love of a beautiful girl melts the heart of a feral but gentle beast, is a landmark of motion picture fantasy with unforgettable romantic performances by Jean Marais and Josette Day. The spectacular visions of enchantment, desire, and death in Beauty and the Beast, La Belle et la Bête, have become timeless icons of cinematic wonder. 1946, 93 minutes, 1.33 to 1 aspect ratio. So that's going to look closer to this, an older television size image, more square than rectangle. I never get this guy's Louis Buñuel, I don't know. Never say his name. I believe he's a Spanish director directing a French film. 1967, 100 minutes, starring the beautiful Catherine Deneuve, and she is beautiful, as a bored housewife who decides that maybe for a little adventure she'll be a belle de jour, which is basically a girl for a day, or a prostitute during the day. And so she sneaks off and is with, and you can take another look at that cover, striking cover. She is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And this is a great movie. She has obviously got some problems since she's doing that. She may be an nymphomaniac. She may just hate her husband that much. She may just be that bored. I don't know. I watched it twice, and I still couldn't tell you which one of the three that might be. Maybe all three. The next one, Lawrence Kasdan, star-studded cast. I always had a fondness for this movie. 1983, 105 minutes, 1.85 to 1 aspect ratio, lots of extras on it. Tom Berenger, Glenn Close, Jeff Goldblum, William Hurt, Kevin Kline, Mary Kay Place, Meg Tilly, and Jo Beth Williams. It's a dual format Blu-ray DVD, approved by the director. It's The Big Chill. Man, the music for this alone is hard to come by, and then the performances were fantastic. What a story about people growing older who come together for the death of one of their best friends. And they all come from different backgrounds. One is a television star. They have, I don't go through everything, but they have a wide variety of occupations and what they've been up to. And this is a classic. You've probably seen it. Next, movie by Carol Ballard. This is a beautiful movie. I bought this for two reasons. One, I had seen the trailer, and then I saw the, I can't remember, does this have a booklet? No, this has one of those fold-out things. Poster on one side, and then gives you the information on the other. Mickey Rooney's in this, believe it or not, the ancient Mickey Rooney, made in 1979. It's the Black Stallion. Look at the cover on that. That was really beautiful. That's a great movie. Next, this is an interesting movie. This is one of the best looking Criterions, I think, as far as the image goes. It's by Powell and Pressburger. Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger. Black Narcissus. This tells the story of some nuns who are trying to establish a convent in the Himalayas. That picture, look at that image right there. The nun ringing the bell, and look at the drop off there. Amazing. Amazingly filmed. This one I have not opened yet, so sometimes I haven't opened it. This one was a bare bones edition. They're threatening to bring out a full edition, but this was like $15. Yeah, 179 minutes, 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio in French with English subtitles. This is the story of a young woman who experiences first love and sexual awakening with another woman. And the cover sort of says it all there, I guess. I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, that's one I'll watch tonight. It's 179 minutes, really. Wow. I'll probably pop that open tonight. I don't know if I'll watch it or not. I've got some other ones I wanted to watch, but I may watch that tonight. Okay, next. This is not quite in alphabetical order. This is going to be in reverse. Well, let me just reverse it and do it right. I've been doing it alphabetically. I might as well stick with it. These are just all backwards now because of how I had them on the shelf, so I've got to kind of just reverse them. Give me just a second here to flip-flop them. Can't wait to talk about that movie. Why is that there? Okay, I see now why. All right. So the first one is, this was a really interesting movie actually too, and beautifully done. I'm surprised more people don't own this movie. It really is. This really is a masterpiece. By Marcel Carné. It's called Children of Paradise. 1945, 190 minutes, over 3 hours long. Black and white in French with English subtitles. 1.37, so it's going to look more like a television screen. 2-disc special edition. Again, video introduction by director Terry Gilliam. There's a restoration demonstration on this. Just a lot of extras. Thick booklet. What it says about this movie is, and I thought this was interesting, poetic realism reached sublime heights with Children of Paradise, widely considered one of the greatest French films of all time. This nimble depiction of 19th century Paris theatrical, well, let's see. Here's a word I'm not familiar with. Demi-monde. Look that up. Demi-monde. I'm not sure what that is exactly. Filmed during World War II. It follows a mysterious woman loved by 4 different men. Yeah, it's a good movie. Scenery's breathtaking in it. Paris. Next movie I have not watched, so I can't tell you anything about it. I haven't even opened this one. I didn't get this all that long ago. I got it. I believe I got this one after Christmas, and then it was after Christmas. So that'll be something I'll probably watch next Christmas. 152 minutes. Boy, some of these movies really are pushing it. A Christmas Tale. 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio. It's in color. It's in French. This was the one with Catherine Deneuve is in it. She's a matriarch of a troubled family. That's right. And it's a lot of brutal outbursts, and it says it's music, movies, and poetry. It ties everything together in a marvelously messy package. So I look forward to watching that one this Christmas. Oh, this one I've seen numerous times. City Lights by Charles Chaplin. Really the last story for the tramp. This is dual edition also, DVD and Blu-ray. Nice thick book here to accompany it. He falls in love with a blind flower girl, and he's fearful that if she gets her sight back, she will no longer love him because she's beautiful and he is not. Kind of a magical story in a lot of ways. I really like it. This one, because it's the complete, falls into the seas, but it really is the complete. Yeah, I've watched most of these, but not all of these. It's the complete Jean Vigo. Yeah, there's 4 films here. Propos de Nice. I'm not going to try to read them all. 4 different movies, though. And good. Crumb. Interesting biography of this artist. That's a self-drawing of him. He's really twisted. 120 minutes, 1990. No. Yeah, 1995. Okay. In color, it's in English. Crumb is a strange dude. I think he's still alive. Francois Truffaut's Day for Night. Again, about the sort of 8.5 about the joys and strife of movie making. Thought it was loose, but not. Yeah, this is Francois Truffaut's Night and Day, famous movie. But it's been a while since I saw this one. 1978, 94 minutes, 178 to 1 ratio. This is Terrence Malick's Days of Heaven with Richard Gere. Beautiful, beautiful cinematography in this one. One of the better ones. This is a weird tale. This is Guillermo del Toro directs The Devil's Backbone, about a boy during the Spanish Civil War, I believe. Spanish Civil War? Yeah. Who was put in an orphanage of sorts, and it's a pretty scary place. 2 more, and we'll take a break. A horror story from 1955, 117 minutes. It's in French. I always thought this was an interesting story by Henri Georges Clouzot, and that is Diabolique. 2 women conspire to kill one of their husbands. And finally, of the first third, Julie Christie, Donald Sutherland in this classic from 1973. It's all about images and what your mind thinks it sees, and so on and so forth. It's the death of a young girl and the parents' agony over it, and then trying to recoup their lives. Don't look back. All right, that's it for that first section. Move on to section number 2 in the next part. Thanks. Good morning. I don't know if you could tell in my last video, but I was tired. In fact, after I finished that little bit, I tended to do this next section. And so let me sit down for a little while, take a little break, and I'll go back to it. And woke up at 5 a.m. in the chair that's over there. And then now it's about probably 9. Went to bed, woke up about 9. And got my coffee, and I've now got the next stack, and now I'm more in the mood. I still have the same shirt on from last night. Haven't showered yet, but I will do that a little bit. I'm going to do this, maybe even finish this whole video, then grab something to eat for a later breakfast, brunch. then probably take a shower and be a little more refreshed to play some Overwatch, which has been my obsession for 2 months now. Anyway, we should go back to the Criterion area. This is the Double Life of Veronique by Krzysztof Kieślowski. He wrote this as well. I love Kieślowski's work. I have the 3 colors, and I'm hopeful to get the Decalogue, which is legendary. I've never seen it. It's a modern day sort of retelling of the 10 Commandments as they apply in our world. Anyway, this movie's from 1991. It's 97 minutes long. It's in color. It's Polish and French with English subtitles, 1.66 to 1 aspect ratio, so a little bit squarer than some. This tells the story of 2 women who look identical. One lives in France, one lives in Poland, one is a music teacher, one is, I can't remember what the other one does. One is a choir soprano, and the other one is a music teacher. So they have similar backgrounds. They are tied together in some sort of existential way. I'm not exactly sure, even in watching the film, exactly how they're tied together. But through, they're both involved in music. They both have the love of the arts. They both have a lot of similarities. They look identical. The same actress, of course, plays both roles, and her name is, she's gorgeous. Yeah, I can't think of her name. But she's very good in this. It's really hard to read on the back because it's dark and dark up here. Easier to read here. A lot of special, a lot of extras on this one, of course. The book is a book. It's thick. Very thick, actually. Yeah, it's a great movie. Kieślowski is for me very easy to get into. This has got some very operatic almost music to it. Beautiful score. I don't know who did the score, but beautiful score. Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name. It's a beautiful score, haunting. And then beautiful cinematography in this. It just really is filmed well. And I love Kieślowski, so I would recommend blind buying anything by Krzysztof Kieślowski. I think you'll enjoy it. I did, as long as you can get past the subtitles, which to me is not a big deal. I think you'll enjoy the Double Life of Veronique, or Veronique, or what's her other name? Just 2 names she goes by in this. Very close. Veronique, and the other one is, it's like Veronique. It's very closely. It's very close. Anyway, Double Life of Veronique. Next, a Brian De Palma film. Yeah, I love these kind of movies. It's got Angie Dickinson, Michael Caine, and Nancy Ellis in English, obviously. 1980. Over 100 minutes color. It's 2.35, so typical movie size. This is director approved by Brian De Palma. It's Dressed to Kill. You may have seen this. It's a murder story. Here's what it says in the back. Brian De Palma ascended to the highest ranks of American suspense filmmaking with this virtuoso, explicit, erotic thriller. At once tongue-in-cheek and scary as hell, Dressed to Kill revolves around the grisly murder of a woman in Manhattan and how her psychiatrist, her brainiac teenage son, and the prostitute who witnessed the crime try to piece together what happened while the killer remains at large. With its masterfully executed scenes of horror, voluptuous camera work, and passionate score, Dressed to Kill is a veritable symphony of terror, enhanced by vivid performances by Angie Dickinson, Michael Caine, and Nancy Allen. Yeah, I found this to be, and I'm not going to give away too much. I've seen it years ago, and I watched it on the Criterion version. Of course, the transfer is impeccable. The extras on this are great. It's a new 4K digital transfer. And this is Brian De Palma's preferred unrated version. So there's going to be some additional scenes that are a little bit more intense. New conversation between De Palma and filmmaker Noah Baumbach, who I also enjoy, regarding this movie. New interviews with actress Nancy Allen, producer George Leto, composer Pino Donaggio, shower scene body double Victoria Lynn Johnson, and poster photographic art director Stephen Seidine. The Making of Dressed to Kill is a 2001 documentary. There's just a ton of stuff on this, as you would expect. And it's got a booklet in it. No, this is one of these newer styles that I don't care for as much. This is the the one sheet of paper they do on two sides instead of having to do the staples and everything. So you get less stuff in it, and it's still good. Don't get me wrong; it's more than some. There's the face of the perhaps killer. Anyway, good movie. Interesting cover, blood red on the disc, and Dressed to Kill. Yeah, I think this is a very enjoyable movie. If you like, if you're not into the subtitles and you just like to buy the English Criterion films, it's a great one to buy. If you like the suspense, I'm not sure how horror it is. I guess it is. I'm thinking back. Certainly some erotic scenes in it and some suspenseful moments, detective-like work. It has its scary moments, don't get me wrong. I just don't see it as a horror film. This one is freaking strange. 1998, 119, and it should be. 119 minutes, 2.0 surround, 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio. Film by Terry Gilliam, Johnny Depp, Benicio del Toro, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. This is one where I always thought the DVD looked better than the Blu-ray. Not the... There's two films like that I thought. This was one of them. I don't know why. I'm sure this looks better. This is on Blu-ray, for goodness sakes. But just the packaging looked better than the other one. But this one, really cool. Johnny Depp is just freaking manic. As Hunter S. Thompson, wrote for Rolling Stone and others. Great book with it. Really nice. Let me just show you a little of the book, because the book is really freaking sweet with this. Here's my receipt. What did I pay for it? I paid $17 at Barnes & Noble. $18.02. I had a coupon. You can't beat that. Give you an idea of some of the little artwork in here. And this was drawn by probably the same dude that did the Rolling Stone stuff. You've got it's just got a little different look to it than maybe some booklets do. So Hunter S. Thompson and his sidekick, whose name escapes me, take a bunch of drugs and travel the highways and byways in and around Las Vegas, Nevada, and they're just fucked up the whole movie. And it's bizarre. They pick up a hitchhiker. This is a lot of stuff. It's one of those movies where you get to the end and you go, what happened? What was the plot of this thing? There really isn't a plot. They're just on some sort of a drug binge. They're out near Las Vegas and in Las Vegas, and they're just all stoned and messed up. And that pretty much describes Hunter Thompson's life. Of course, sadly, he killed himself after this movie, I think. Yeah, after this movie was made, he killed himself. I don't know, not all that long ago. Shot himself, sadly. Here's an interesting movie. It made more so now. This is another one with this cheap brochure type thing in it. But a great movie. It's The Fisher King with Robin Williams, Jeff Bridges. Another Terry Gilliam movie. There's at least 3 of those on the Criterion Collection. Of course, the one we just looked at, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. This one, and one we looked at, did we? We didn't get to that yet for some reason. Why have that? We'll get to that in a couple. It's in a box type set, but we'll get to that one when we get to the Tease, which is Time Bandits, another great Terry Gilliam film. Oh, and one that I've forgotten, Brazil, which is by itself a DVD. I'll get to that. It sits on the very top of my shelf here. I'll get to Brazil. In fact, Brazil was one of the first Criterions I ever saw in my life, before I even knew what Criterion Collection was. Anyway, this is like a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale grounded in poignant reality. The magnificent Manhattan set, The Fisher King by Terry Gilliam. Features Jeff Bridges and Robin Williams in two of the most brilliant roles. Bridges plays a former radio shock jock reconstructing his life after a scandal, and Williams is brilliant as a homeless man on a quest for, yes, the Holy Grail. He believes that he can find the Holy Grail, which he thinks is somewhere on the Upper East Side of New York. Unknowingly linked by their pasts, the two men aid each other on a fanciful journey in discovering their own humanity. It's really good. If you know Terry Gilliam's work, you'll know that there's a surrealness to it, but also it's grounded in reality. And I think Robin Williams was brilliant in it. Perhaps his best role overall, although you could argue that. But it's a brilliant role for him. It's the kind of movie that Robin Williams shines in, and I really like The Fisher King. There's a Holy Grail. The Upper East Side. Next is a movie that I bought, another blind buy for me on the Criterion collection. It's a documentary, and I think Criterion does some of the best documentaries because the back stuff is all the special features that are with it. 1989, 80 minutes in color. It's a 1.33 to 1 aspect ratio. I'm not sure if this was made for television. I don't think so. But back in 1989, well, who knows? This is, well, I'm going to read the back because I think it's kind of cool. In July 1969, the space race ended when Apollo 11 fulfilled President Kennedy's challenge of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. No one who witnessed the lunar landing will ever forget it. Al Reinert's documentary, For All Mankind, is the story of the 24 men who traveled to the moon, told in their words, in their voices, using the images of their experiences. 40 years after the first moon landing, it remains the most radical, visually dazzling work of cinema yet made about this earth-shaking event. So yeah. Beautifully, it's in color, for the most part. Great documentary. I really enjoyed this. The inside is the Earth view from the moon, and you can see here's a lunar lander. This is the kind of images you're going to get in this film. Part still shot, part motion work. It's really nice. It's the backstory of the astronauts, their experiences with the Apollo missions. Great film. And really, Spine 54 really belongs in everybody's collection. I didn't do the other Spine numbers, did I? Sorry. Fisher King was 764. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is 175. 770 for Dress to Kill. And The Double Life of Veronique. Oh, man, another dark on dark. There's like two. Wow. Yeah, I can't make it out. 359 maybe? I don't know. Hard to say. Look that one up on your own. Sorry about that. I just can't read it. Next. I can read this one, though. 681. I mentioned Noah Baumbach a little bit ago. This is another modern-day director. I really enjoyed this film. It's called Francis Ha. There's a Blu-ray and DVD. Oh, this feels pretty light. I'm not going to take it out of the plastic that it's in. But 86 minutes, 2013. Shot in black and white. 5.1 surround sound, 1.85 to 1 aspect ratio. So not quite too narrow, a little bit. This is the story of Greta, who is a single girl in New York who has a friend. They are best buds. Eventually, she gets a boyfriend, and that kind of creates some tension between her and her friend, Sophie. It's just one of to me, it was like a Seinfeld episode almost, or something. I don't know. You got these quirky characters in New York City, trying to find love, trying to live their life, trying to hold on a job and have a social life. And I thought it was brilliant. Francis Ha. That's why it's on the Criterion Collection. A pretty good amount of special features, not a ton. But you've got conversations between filmmaker Peter Bogdanovich and Baumbach. Peter Bogdanovich, of course, has become some sort of a film scholar these days. He of, numerous films. But he's, like I say, he's become a film scholar. He makes a lot of commentaries on the Criterion Collection. And really has, I think, shifted from director to more of a historian
at least in my opinion. A conversation between the filmmaker and Greta Gerwig. Oh, I'm sorry. I said she plays. It's her. I said that was the name of the character. That's the actress name. Frances, of course. Frances Ha is the name of the actual person. Yeah. Frances Ha. Next. I haven't seen this in a while. I should watch this again. This is a strange movie. It's a strange movie for a lot of reasons. That's kind of one of those shitty booklets in it again. Anytime you've got Meryl Streep in a movie, you really can't go wrong, though, can you? Meryl Streep and Jeremy Irons combined in The French Lieutenant's Woman. What an interesting cover. 768. No problem reading that. 1981 movie, 123 minutes long. Let me read you about this movie because I thought the back of this really summed it up. And there's quite a few extras on this as well. An outstanding array of talent come together for the big screen adaptation of John Fowles' novel, The French Lieutenant's Woman. That was a big deal novel back in the, I guess, 80s. Yeah. It's a postmodern masterpiece that had been considered unfilmable. Well, you may watch this and still think that's the case. I don't know. This is a tough movie. With an ingenious script by a Nobel Prize-winning playwright Harold Pinter, who you may have heard of, a British New Wave trailblazer Carol Hines transforms Fowles' tale of scandalous romance into an arresting, hugely entertaining movie about cinema. In Pinter's reimagining, Jeremy Irons and Meryl Streep star in parallel narratives. This is where it gets weird. As a Victorian-era gentleman and the social outcast he risks everything to love, and as the contemporary actors playing those roles in the production. Yeah. And immersed in their own forbidden affair, shot by the consummate cinematographer Freddie Francis, and scored by the venerated composer and conductor Carl Davis. This is a beguiling, intellectually nimble feat of filmmaking, starring a pair of legendary actors in early leading roles. Yeah, I guess this was pretty early, 1981 for Meryl Streep and Jeremy Irons, but a lot of extras on it. It's one of those things where you've, like it said, you've got them in two different roles as the actual people who the film is about, the film they're making in the film, and then, yeah. Anyway, French Lieutenant's Woman. I enjoyed it. I have to watch it again. There's another one I should probably watch again. Well, this is one I might trade though. David Fincher, 1997, 128 minutes in color, 5.1 surround, 2.40 to 1 aspect ratio. Stars Michael Douglas, Sean Penn, and others. It's a great movie. Here's my dilemma. It's called The Game, and I can't read the spine on this one either. The lighting's just 1997. I gave you all that. So here's the deal. It's Michael Douglas's birthday. He receives a strange gift from his never-do-well younger brother, Sean Penn, on his 48th birthday. A voucher for a game that he agrees to play. That if he agrees to play, will change his life. And he's intrigued by it. He plays it. And the game is interesting, to say the least. It affects your entire world. It isn't like Overwatch, where you sit at with a controller on a TV screen. It's your life. The game is your life. Great movie. Loved it. Who's the director on this thing? No, David Fincher. Beautifully directed, beautifully acted. I love Michael Douglas and Sean Penn, so nothing. Maybe I'll keep it. I don't know. I know the ending now, and sometimes, some movies, the ending is the payoff, right? You watch the whole movie. It's like a suspense movie, like a whodunit. You don't know who did it. The butler did it. The maid did it. The husband did it. The neighbor did it. and you find out at the end that it was the butler, let's say. Well, then watching it a second time is not nearly as satisfying because the experience you had was in the whodunit part. There's a similarity to that with the game. You're trying to figure out what the hell is going on with this game. It's like a life and death game with the guy's life. You're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. You know, what did his brother get him into? And you find it at the end, but that's the payoff. And I don't know. I should probably watch it again. I might feel differently. Boy, I spent some while since I watched this one too. David Gordon Green, brilliant movie as I recall. Sometimes the simplest movies. Okay, from the year 2000, 90 minutes in color, 2.0 surround, 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio. It's entitled George Washington. This is the dual edition. Still booklets in this, I think. Yeah, this is an actual book. Oh, it was a chintzy. No, this is one that rolls out. It's a story of adolescence in the South, particularly black adolescents. Great actor here. I don't know his name, and I'm not going to find it here. It's too small. Yeah. It's the first feature-length film by director David Gordon Green. Remarkable performances from an award-winning ensemble cast. It's a startling and distinct work of contemporary American independent cinema. Yeah. It's a group of children in the rural South. You know, poor South. Having to make some difficult choices. And they pick on each other. And, you know, it's very typically coming-of-age type story. Which I love. So, George Washington. I'd recommend that one. It's in English, too, by the way. So is this one. 1940, 125 minutes, black and white, 1.33 to 1 aspect ratio. I'm joking about sort of. It is. This is a brilliant movie. At some point in his career, Charlie Chaplin realized that The Little Tramp, you know, with a couple of modifications, looked a lot like a player on the world stage. That would be Adolf Hitler. This movie was from 1940. I can't believe it got made, first of all. I can't believe it got bankrolled. I can't believe it got made. I can't believe it got shown in 1940 in particular. And you know what was going on in the world in 1940 with Adolf Hitler. He had invaded Poland and taken it. 1940, he invaded France and took it. And then, of course, in 1941, the United States had been sitting on the sideline watching this European drama unfold with Germany kind of marching across to the west while leaving Russia alone for the moment. But the whole Blitzkrieg deal with Germany and Hitler was amazing. So he realized that The Little Tramp, and here he is on the top, looked an awful lot like Adolf Hitler. If you just kind of turn it upside down. And this is kind of cool how they do this. So it's the Great Dictator by Charlie Chaplin, the first full talkie that Charlie Chaplin made. Of course, he had made a career with some fantastic movies, one of which we'll show in a little bit, and some others we'll show later. Or actually, I already showed City Lights. Modern Times I still own, and The Kid. But Charlie Chaplin, well known for the silent films, in particular for the character of the Little Tramp. Well, here, it's not quite the Little Tramp. It sort of is, but not really. He takes on the, they call it the Tomanian instead of the German dictator. And he is in the movie a lookalike for him. And so he assumes his role. He's mistaken for him, and then he actually assumes his role. And the final speech in this movie is still, to this day, probably one of the most absorbing, right on of how we should treat each other and how we should live. And it's a great, great speech by Charlie Chaplin. And then there's plenty of humorous moments throughout, even though we're talking about Adolf Hitler, essentially. Spine 565. And inside, you've got one of the great scenes, and that's kind of clever how they do that. Nice booklet, and it is a true booklet. It's got some nice artwork in here. And then you've got one of the funny scenes is there's like a balloon of the world, and it's the dictator as Charlie Chaplin, the comic. It's not the true dictator. It's him, and anyway, playing with the world. Actually, or is this the real dictator? This is the real dictator in this scene, playing with the world. He plays both roles. Anyway. This is one I almost didn't buy. 1974, 112 minutes. But of course, I was influenced because it was a documentary, and I love Criterion documentaries. Secondly, the topic was one that I really have been fascinated by. That is the Vietnam War. This is the 1974 documentary, Hearts and Minds. Another one of these. There's the American soldier. There's the Vietnamese villager. This is I don't even know how to describe this film. It is the backstory of the Vietnam War. It's got generals who speak on it, but a lot of times it'll have the general saying something, but then the film will be contrasting what the general's saying. In other words, well, our troops are humane and are showing the Vietnamese, the way we should live or something. And then you'll see that we're devastating one of their villages. This was made at the height of the controversy surrounding it in 1974. It's when a lot of the country was in protest, and this shows some of that to try to end the war. Footage of the conflict, the upheaval it occasioned on the home front. It's a powerfully affecting picture of the disastrous effects of war. And the hearts and minds is really the hearts and minds of the Vietnamese, more so than the American soldiers. It really is showing things from their point of view. It's a beautiful film, it really is. I'm not going to open it up, but it's a thick book in there. I highly recommend it. I love any documentary that the Criterion Collection folks do. This one's really good. Besides the James Bond, ranking the James Bond films, and I might adjust that now if I redid it because I've watched some of them over again recently, and I might adjust it. But sorry for my allergies. My allergies are terrible. I'm going to grab a tissue here shortly. I'll finish this one and take just a brief break on the next half here. This video, aside from the Bond one, I think this video's got my most views, and this one might have my most views. I think I titled it "I Review the Worst Movie Ever Made" because in a lot of folks' minds, this was one of them. It's not the worst movie ever made. It did bankrupt a studio, though. Let me get 616 if I'm reading this right. It's just the plastic is right on the line. Anyway, it's Michael Cimino's Heaven's Gate. I like this film a lot. I titled it, ironically, the worst film ever made. I put it in quotes, but some people, well, it's not the worst film ever made. Why do you say that? I'm like, well, I didn't say that. I said, never mind. 1980, 216 minutes, this version. Other versions have been made. 5.1 surround sound, 2.40 to 1 aspect ratio. Yeah, this is, in my opinion, a brilliant film. It's not the best film I've ever seen, but it's way better than what the word was. But a breathtaking depiction of the promise and perils of America's Western expansion. So what happens is, this is also, it's based on the bloody and real, true-to-life Johnson County War of 1892, where you had a bunch of settlers who came in from other countries into this Wyoming territory and started to settle. And they were living off the land, slaughtering cattle. Well, the cattle happened to belong to some land barons, and Chris Christopherson goes there as a federal marshal, having graduated from Harvard some years earlier. And now these cattle barons are killing the area's European settlers and taking their land. The land that they have it was not owned by the land barons, but the land baron wanted the land. Anyway, it's a great movie. It's a little slow paced, but you've got to enjoy that. I mean, the train going across the supposed to be Wyoming, but I think they filmed it in Colorado or someplace. But going across takes a while. Even everything takes a little while. There's a dance they show, but you get the feeling of what it was like in these towns and these communities. I think he wanted to film that sense of what it was like to really live then in those areas. So I liked it a lot. I think it's a very, very good movie. I don't know if it's a great movie, but it's a very, very good movie. This one's a great movie. A film by Akira Kurosawa. Can't read the spine number on this one either, I don't think. 24, I can't read it. 1963. 143 minutes. Really, was that long? It went by quick. 4.0 surround in Japanese with English subtitles, 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio. Talking about high and low. You know, Kurosawa usually did samurai films. Things like that. Not always, but this is modern day. It's a kidnapping story. It stars Toshiro Mifune. And that's him there. He usually plays a samurai warrior, but in this one he's a businessman, and one of his associates' children is kidnapped, and he is trying to do everything he can to get that person back. And the kidnappers want money, and they want, so it's a very dramatic piece. A lot of extras on it. Yeah, let me show that again. It's very well acted, very well directed, as you would expect with Akira Kurosawa. High and low. If that sounds good to you, buy that one. This one I haven't seen yet. It was a blind buy. 1959, 90 minutes. It's in French with English subtitles. I bought this one blind, as I said. It sounded really good, and so I wanted it. I just haven't watched it yet. But what it's about is this. It says it's a cornerstone of the French New Wave. It's the first feature from Alain René. It's one of the most influential films of all time. A French actress and a Japanese architect engage in a brief, intense affair in post-war Hiroshima. Their consuming mutual fascination impelling them to exercise their own sacred memories of love and suffering. I just thought that first of all, the cover looks really interesting to me. Looks like somebody's handprint here, but I thought post Hiroshima, the devastation of the bomb and everything else would be interesting. Anyway, I haven't watched it yet, so I can't say anything more about it, but it sounds like it would be a good film. Looked like a good film. This one I haven't opened yet, and there's a reason for it. It's out of print. And my thought process was I might sell it. I know I'm a collector, but sometimes you pay $20 for this spine, $485, $488. 1992, 142 minutes. It's all of James Ivory's films went out of print. This one stars Anthony Hopkins, Vanessa Redgrave, Emma Thompson, and Helena Bonham Carter. Howard's End. I haven't seen it, so I can't say a lot about it. I'll tell you what it's about, though. The pinnacle of decades-long collaboration between the producer, Ismail Merchant, and the director. Howard's End is a luminous vision of E.M. Forster's cutting 1910 novel about class division in Edwardian England. So that would, to me, that's kind of stuff that's interesting to me. With a brilliant layered script and so on and so forth. There's a rich capitalist who commences an intricately woven tale of money, love, and death. 142 minutes. I just haven't opened it. I probably will soon and watch it when I get ready to watch it. And just probably hold on to it. But I have to see what it's going for on eBay. At one point, it was going for, $50 or something. When you pay $20 for something that, Anyway. That's Howard said. Looks like it's got a fairly thin booklet. Very thin, actually. So, I may sell that. I don't know. We'll see. This movie I thought was interesting. It's the kind of horror movies that I like from 1961, 100 minutes, black and white, binaural. Stars Deborah Kerr. I always want to say Carr, but I think it's Kerr. As an emotionally fragile governess who comes to suspect there's something very, very wrong with her precious new charges. And it's called The Innocents. Yeah, it's well done. Black and white, 100 minutes long, binaural from 1961, 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio. Spine number 727. You know, she's holding candles, walking through at night, and there's some spooky scenes outside, and it's a film of dread. You know what's going to happen. I like it. It's my kind of horror. I'm gonna pause this for a minute. All right, back. I had to just use a tissue and change hats. A little Penn State on. I wanted the Penn State hat before. I had the Yankees hat and the Penn State hat, and I just found the. Anyway, I haven't watched this on Criterion yet. I've seen it before years ago. I liked it. This comes to me via Roger from Channel Downstar. Early role. Yeah, very early role for Charles Lawton, who directed one of my favorite Criterions, which I think you saw in part 1. Should have, yeah, The Night of the Hunter, his only direction. This is The Island of Lost Souls. There's Charles Lawton. Also stars the enigmatic Bela Lugosi. I love Bela Lugosi. He was just such an interesting character, wasn't he? Anyway, The Island of Lost Souls. Lots of extras on this one. It's basically a guy trying to stem the tide between man and beast, and take beasts and make them more human. But the result is something that's not quite human. And there's a shipwreck, and a guy is stranded on the island. Yeah, and he's discovering what the hell is going on. Island of Lost Souls. You can see the hand there. Half beast, half man. That sort of sums up what's going on there. 1932. 1932, that's a long time ago, isn't it? Here's one from 1934. This is a great movie. It's a Frank Capra film. You know anything about Frank Capra? Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah. Jimmy Stewart, the Christmas movie. What the heck's it called? Oh my goodness, isn't that terrible when you draw a blank? Whenever an angel gets his wings, you hear a bell ring. Yeah. John Barrymore's in it as the crusty old banker. Oh my goodness, isn't that terrible? Well, anyway, this one is It Happened One Night. This is Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert. That's a strange noise. You may not be able to hear that. 103 minutes, black and white, binaural, 1.33 to 1 aspect ratio. It swept all. It's the first film to accomplish the very rare feat of sweeping all 5 major Oscar categories: Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. It Happened One Night is among the most gracefully constructed and edited films of the early sound era, packed with clever situations and gags that have entered the Hollywood comedy pantheon. Things like, you sleep on that side, I'll sleep on this side of the room. They have to share a room at one point, and they're not romantically involved. And we'll put a sheet between the two of us. And there's been that. They've done that in comedy shows. Even to today, you might see something like that. It's a thinly veiled wall that doesn't really work. Here's another movie I haven't watched yet. Another blind buy. Filmed by Georges Franju. It's called Judex. Dual format. I had it in my head to get all the dual formats when they came out. At least of the movies that I thought sounded interesting. And this one sounded interesting to me. I'll tell you why. The effortlessly cool crime caper is a marvel of dexterous plotting and visual invention. Conceived as an homage to a 1916 cult silent serial of the same name, it kicks off with the mysterious kidnapping of a corrupt banker by a shadowy crime fighter and spins out into a thrillingly complex web of deceptions. combining stylish 60s modernism with silent cinema touches and even a few unexpected sci-fi accents. Judex is a delightful bit of pulp fiction and a testament to the art of illusion. So that sounded really good to me. Really hard to read this. 1963, 97 minutes, black and white. It's binaural in French with English subtitles. 1.66 to 1 aspect ratio. Thick booklet with this. Yeah, it's the part with the mysterious crime fighter kidnapping sounded good. There's a magician in this. Yeah, yeah. I gotta watch it. I did watch this recently. These are the Kennedy films of Robert Drew and Associates. It's pretty new. Spine 808. It's got on it the primary. All this is behind the scenes stuff. Robert Drew and Associates were able to get behind the scenes with Kennedy, Jacqueline Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. So there's the primary race. Then there's Adventures in the New Frontier after he took office. And then there's a piece on the crisis. And then finally the Faces of November, which is just 12 minutes, but it's, yeah, it's just faces of people after the assassination. Kennedy was, yeah, to this day, kind of an iconic figure. Probably always will be, like Lincoln. Great movie. Set of movies, I should say. And finally, on this section, spine 799. Only a mere 53 minutes, but there's a lot of extras on this one, which is why I bought it. That's in black and white binaural. I haven't opened this up yet. I've seen it, but just not on disc. I've watched it digitally. It's a film by Charlie Chaplin, and it's one of his most beloved films, and it really is very, very well done. And Jackie Coogan plays the kid. It's called The Kid. Look at that cover. Look at that. Really great how they did that, I thought. Anyway, The Kid by Charlie Chaplin. He basically takes on this waif, this child, and yeah, it's slapstick. It's good stuff. Chaplin had a way of being able to make you laugh, make you cry, make you, a lot of things. And this movie does a little bit of everything. So that's The Kid. All right, that wraps up that middle section. It's this kind of section only up there. I've got one more section to go over here that you can't see on the camera, but I'm going to go get to that in the next one. I keep these about 20 minutes, 30 minutes long each. So the next one should be similar. I've got at least maybe one more after that to cover. And then we get into the DVDs and the box set Blu-rays that are bigger box sets like these here that you can see. The Tati one and this one. The Jacques Demy, which I haven't opened yet. Again, similar thought process. Maybe I'll sell this one. I don't know. But maybe not. This one's got 6 movies in it. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 movies in it. So, I don't know. I'm probably going to keep it. But until I open it, it's still potentially up for grabs. I just like the way it looks on the shelf. I have watched one of the movies, again, digitally, to see if I'd like it. And I did. I watched The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. They're great movies. So I may have to hold on to it. I don't know. It's just one of those movies that I think the value of it, the monetary value, I paid half and I had a coupon on top of it. I think it was like 10% off on top of the 50% off that I saved at Barnes & Noble. So tough choice here. But if you're going to sell it, the time to sell is sometime between December and July, or August and November, because those are the times. There'll be another Criterion sale at Barnes & Noble coming up in November. So if you're going to sell, you don't want to try to sell during the Barnes & Noble sale, because somebody can get it for half price, assuming they know that. Anyway, I'll get to that. We'll finish the next part of the shelf on the next one. All right, guys, Dean of DVD. I'm going to have another cup of coffee, do something about my sinuses, and go from there. Thanks, guys. Take care.